The South Korean Peacekeeping Unit Hanbit was caught in the rising violence of South Sudan, their base attacked by mortar rounds. Hiding out in a Buddhist temple, a top-ranking railroad union leader has been there for 3 days now. Police are staking out the scene. And with no place to call home, children born to North Korean women in a third country face hardship and discrimination here in South Korea. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Thursday, December 26. I'm Luke Clary. With the bloodshed in South Sudan intensifying by the day, the South Korean Peacekeeping Unit Hanbit found itself in the crossfire. Their base was attacked by mortar cannons. No casualties to report.
At 5 p.m. local time, the United Nations camp in the town of Bor, South Sudan, was hit by 2 mortar cannons. They struck the Nepalese unit's post that's protecting the South Korean Hanbit Unit, located just 300 meters away. No casualties were reported in the unit, but several Nepalese troops sustained injuries. The mortars were shot during a fierce exchange of fire between the Sudanese government forces and the rebels, which took place about 4 kilometers from the Hanbit unit. The Sudanese government troops managed to recapture Bor and are stepping up their attack to retake Bentiu, home to the largest oil field. The rebels are also intensifying their attacks. Some sources say that the Sudanese government is killing rebel supporters as well. The United Nations has decided to dispatch 5,500 more troops to the peacekeeping forces in South Sudan.
I welcome today's resolution calling for an immediate cessation of hostilities and opening of dialogue.
The bloodshed in South Sudan has been ongoing for more than 10 days now, with the death toll reaching the thousands.
A top-ranking railroad union leader has been hiding out at Joge Temple for 3 days now. The police have responded with enhanced surveillance around the Buddhist temple, but say there are no plans to enter temple grounds.
All is quiet inside Joge Temple. It's been 3 days since Deputy Labor Union leader Park Jae-man came to hide in the Buddhist temple. An arrest warrant has been issued for Park. He finally showed up last night, one day after he went into hiding inside the temple.
문제 요청까지 실패라는 상황에서 저희가 갈 수 있는 곳이라고는 오직 여기 조계나밖에 없었습니다.
Temple authorities said that they will not force out the unionists who have taken shelter at a religious facility. Park and 3 of his fellow union members are known to be staying on the 2nd floor of the main temple hall. As soon as the whereabouts of Park was determined, the police sent some 200 police officers to surround the temple and strengthen its surveillance and inspection. Although the police has not entered the temple grounds, it's keeping a close eye on the labor union's movements. The police has made it clear that it does not plan to deploy police forces into the temple.
경찰력 투입 여부는 종교 시설에 대한 우리 국민들의 정서 등을 고려하여 투입하지 않을 그러한 예정입니다.
The atmosphere around Joge Temple is likely to remain tense as the Railroad Labor Union announced that it will hold a nationwide protest sponsored by the KCTU this Saturday.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has ratcheted up tensions on the Korean peninsula, paying a visit to North Korean military units and ordering them to prepare for battle.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited military units for the first time since Chang Song-taek's execution. He was escorted by influential military heavyweights such as Vice Marshal Choi Ryong-hae, Korea People's Army General Staff Chief Ri Young-gil, and General Jang Jong-nam. The North Korean leader said the military must be well prepared for war because it could begin without a warning.
전쟁은 언제 한다고 광고를 내지 않는다는 것을 한시도 잊지 말고 자기 부대의 싸움 준비에 대하여 당 앞에 전적으로 책임지는.
The North Korean military has been holding events aimed at boosting solidarity for days now to mark the 3rd anniversary of the Kim Jong-un regime. On December 16th, Vice Marshal Choi Ryong-hae even swore loyalty to Kim Jong-un and called on the military to prepare for a war. Kim's current trip to Unit 526 is the same one that he visited back in February after a 3rd nuclear test. At the time, the North Korean leader even personally demonstrated how to fire live ammunition. His showy display of the importance of the military is apparently aimed at stabilizing the regime in the face of Chang Song-taek's execution and to strengthen solidarity.
Military tensions mounting following the shock execution of North Korea's number 2 Chang Song-taek. South Korean troops on the front lines remain vigilant under the threat of North Korean attack.
South Korean troops at the front line start their day with a brutal run. But a 3-kilometer run is intense enough to help them forget about the bone-chilling cold. The terrain up at 1,000 meters above sea level is so rough that supplies must be delivered by cable car. The South Korean forces have upped their training in light of escalating speculations about possible provocations by North Korea. This exercise is for the enemy's surprise artillery attack. South Korean soldiers rush up to the high ground to launch a counterstrike.
적은 반드시 도발한다는 생각으로 철저히 대비하고 있습니다. 만일 적이 도발한다면 강력하게 응징하겠습니다.
It's bitterly cold at the guard post, but the troops carefully check the 21-kilometer fence along the ridge for signs of infiltration. Although the rest of the country is celebrating the holidays, there's no rest for these brave soldiers guarding the front line.
Outlets located on the outskirts of big cities are gaining popularity. There's been a rise in the number of consumers who are willing to travel great distances in search of great deals.
This tall building, located near a highway, is the largest outlet in Asia that has recently opened. Its parking lot, which can accommodate more than 4,000 cars, is already packed. Another outlet in the same neighborhood is also crowded, even though it takes nearly 2 hours to reach this area on the weekends. Customers can dine, play, and take leisurely strolls along with their regular shopping at these outlets. In the past, the spotlight was just on department stores. In the 1990s, this shifted to large supermarket chains, but now it's the large outlets that rule the scene. The reason they're mostly built on the outskirts of big cities is the relatively lower costs of land, as these facilities also feature space for leisure and cultural activities. Shinsegae and Lotte have already built 6 outlets in the vicinity of Seoul and Busan. Hyundai is soon to open 2 of their own in the capital region. These outlets are trying to lure in customers with overseas brand name products and say that this strategy works the best.
명품이 보다 대중화되었지만 얇아진 지갑으로 인해 명품을 보다 저렴하게 소비하려는 수요가 아울렛으로 몰리고 있습니다.
But critics are accusing this trend for its failure to boost domestic demand and merely jeopardizing local commerce.
Korea is welcoming more and more Chinese tourists in their 20s and 30s. The best travel guide for these young sojourners is said to be the comments and videos posted online by their peers studying in Korea.
This 25-year-old Chinese man photographs interesting sights and stores around Korea. The photos are for his posts about his daily life in Korea on a Chinese online community. He started working for a group of Chinese student reporters earlier this year, kicking off his career as a publicist for Korea. Currently, some 55,000 Chinese students study in Korea. Their blogs or social networking sites serve as good sources of various information on Korea to Chinese mainlanders as well as other young Chinese-speaking people around the world. Sometimes their experiences and opinions about life in Korea are sparking enormous reactions in China. Therefore, the central and local government bodies and private businesses are expanding their support for Chinese students in the areas of tourism, job information, and cultural participation in order to shape positive images about Korea.
우리나라를 널리 알리는 중요한 오피니언 리더의 역할로서 먼 미래에는 한중 양국 간의 그 엄청난 역할을 할 수 있는 인재들로 생각을 하거든요.
As an important channel of communication for young people in Korea and China, social networking services serve as a vital means to boost Korea's appeal to 100 million Chinese tourists.
Children born to North Korean defectors in a third country, typically China, confront many difficulties many of us could never imagine. Even in South Korea, they face discrimination and hardship.
At a school located in Seoul, a Christmas event is well underway. Some 28 unprotected youths between the ages of 7 and 16 are staying here temporarily. Most of their mothers are North Korean defectors working outside of Seoul to make a living. Although it's Christmas season, the children do not seem very happy. That's probably because they're living away from their families. They look at photos of their mothers on their phones and call them up saying how much they miss them.
엄마 보고 싶어. 내일 데려올 거야? 약속.
Most of the school kids were born in China and speak almost no Korean.
是啊，学完韩国话以后就不在这块上，去家里那边的。
Children born to North Korean defector women and local men in China are known as unprotected youths. It is estimated that there are currently around 800 of them. But there are no accurate statistics as the defecting women bring their children to South Korea after they settle down. And since they were not born in North Korea, the South Korean government does not give them the same support given to ordinary defectors. These marginalized children are in urgent need of a systematic support plan.
As we wind down 2013, we have year-end concerts and album releases to ring in the new year. Here's more in today's entertainment news.
Folk musicians including Park Hak-gi and the group Scenery of Riding Bicycle are planning to hold a joint concert in January. They plan to sing with Kang Ah-sol, who is an up-and-comer in the indie music circles. They plan to perform the familiar songs A Scented Memory and I to You, You to Me. Gil Hak-mi, who became famous by appearing in a TV audition show, is releasing a new song in 3 years. It's a digital single, Empty Room. It comes after her debut album Super Soul and the single Winter Story. She says it contains the loss and longing she felt after watching the film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And Dongbang Shingi is launching a documentary. It contains their process of producing an album, such as their recordings, dance practices, and music video shoots. The documentary also includes previously undisclosed photos.
For decades, gas stoves ruled the day in Korean kitchens. In recent years, the popularity of electric stoves has been on the rise. And here's why. A growing number of people are choosing electric stoves over gas. Electric stoves are obviously powered by electricity and don't pose health risks that can be caused by gas leaks or air pollution. Here's another reason why the electric stove market has grown exponentially. Starting in January next year, a new regulation will mandate the installation of safety devices in all gas stoves to prevent overheating. So far, gas stoves have been available for relatively low prices. But once the new regulation takes effect, gas stove prices will more than double.
가스레인지 같은 경우는 그 화재에 있어서 좀 취약한 부분이 있기 때문에 요즘에는 고객님들이 전기 레인지를 많이 보러 오는 추세이신데요. 전기레인지 같은 경우는 지금 작년에 비해 올해 한 20% 정도 더 저희 쪽에서 판매량이 늘어나 있고요. 앞으로도 조금 더 늘어날 추세로 보입니다.
This homemaker has been using an electric stove since April this year.
점화할 때마다 나오는 가스 때문에 머리도 아프고 속도 안 좋은 경험이 많았어요. 그래가지고 아이들도 냄새가 많이 난다는 소리도 하고 그래서 점화할 때마다 나오는 유해가스 때문이 아닐까 하는 생각이 들었거든요.
But electric stoves are much more expensive than gas stoves. In the case of 2-burner stoves, the price difference is 3 to 4 times. 3-burner electric stoves cost over $1,000. Many consumers think that electric stoves are less effective. We boiled a liter of water on a gas stove and 2 kinds of electric stoves. It took the induction stove 6 minutes to bring the water to a boil. The highlight stove took 9 minutes. As for the gas stove, the water started boiling there in 10.5 minutes. Electric stoves are classified into hot plates, highlight, and induction versions. Induction stoves heat the cooking pans. Hot plate and highlight stoves convey the heat to cooking pans via heating plate. They also allow for the use of stone pots. However, it takes them relatively longer to heat up, and there is also a high risk of burns. In induction stoves, energy is delivered directly to the cooking vessel by the magnetic field, so the risk of burns is low while heat efficiency is high. This allows savings in cooking time. But only magnetic cookware can be used on induction stoves.
제품에 따라 화력 정도의 차이가 있으니 자신의 용도에 맞는 제품을 구입하기 위해서는 제품의 성능 정보를 꼼꼼히 확인하신다면 화력으로 인한 불편사항을 방지할 수 있습니다.
The biggest concern for consumers who are considering buying an electric stove is high electricity charges. So how expensive is it to have an electric stove in your house?
건강도 중요한데 전기 요금이 많이 나올까봐 걱정 많이 했는데 설치하고 난 후에 전과 후 비교했을 때 별다른 차이 없더라고요.
Electric stoves are in wide use these days, but before buying one, check which type suits your needs the best. Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time. Have a great day.